Hey, look, y'all, no hands. All right, so this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to it's August the 1st. I'm going to quickly try to go through and do the chore while I water. All right, and so this month I'm going to try to do VEDA, which is video every day. And so just post a little bit of what's going on in the garden every single day. Or I'm going to record what's going on in the garden. I don't know if I'll post every day. I plan to, but I'll at least record something every day. So, just starting over here. Well, I'm going to get the water hose. Alright, so I let them run a little bit in the beginning to make sure there's no hot water still in there, because I've burnt a lot of stuff, like my oregano. That's why it's still messed up. Alright, it's cold. It's early enough, but I don't get up early enough usually. Alright, so first thing first, I'm going to put these somewhere and let them run. Alright, just turn it on and I'll move it. Whoops, that's glove getting in the way. I'm putting it on the corner down here, but I'll move it periodically. So, just to get this entire bed. And hopefully this week I'm going to go ahead and set up my drip irrigation. I have some stuff set up in here. You can see the tube, I hope. I'm not sure if you can see it. And there's I don't know what this is, but one of the things, I don't know what it's called. But anyway, I'm in the process of setting this up so that I don't have to do this anymore. All right, I'll take this to this. Now when I set up the drip irrigation, I'm going to put it in the beds. I had decided, for some reason, I thought it was a wise idea to instead just do these like this with the water hose, just let it sit, and put the drip irrigation in the container. Since they move, and there's so many of them, I figured I could just lay these down, that'd be good. Except for the melon bed is so big, I can't really access in there. So that's what made me decide that, yeah, I should have done this. All right. All right, so over here in the beginning, we have everything, the store-bought plants that I got from Lowe's, including this grape cherry tomato. So I'll let the water run for like at least 20 to 30 seconds. I run it low so that it won't splash and it won't disturb the soil too much. Or I not run it low, I put the hose low so it won't disturb the soil or splash on the plant. All right, and I do water these every day. I've learned that I had to. So this is the eggplant. Still no fruit. Lots of leaves that need to be removed. I'll just let them drop here. Okay. Yeah, we still have about 3 more weeks of triple-digit temperatures. 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully 2 max. So I don't think a lot of these are going to produce much until it gets cooler. I mean, the peppers, of course, are producing here, the cayennes, with lots of red peppers I need to go ahead and harvest. These leaves at the bottom, I'm leaving them just because, like as a mulch, because to protect the soil. Maybe I should clean that out. I don't know. But But in nature, the normal thing is for the leaves to drop below the plant or the tree or the plant. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. I know that Robbie and Gary use leaves as compost. Oh, there's like a little plant. I'm not sure if this is going off the May plant. That's a pepper plant. I don't know if it's too much for me to try to do 2 videos at one time. But T-Nog has the New Orleans gardener. So T-Nog has a tag going for spring wrap-up. And I think I remember the questions. I know one of them is, what won't you do? What plant won't you have? Or, well, the first question is, are you going to have a garden in 2020? The first question is, are you going to have a garden in 2023? Absolutely. I definitely will. I get discouraged sometimes in this heat. I mean, over the past weeks, it's been hard coming out here. And my garden has suffered as a result of that because I come out late. I'm not a morning person. And it's hot when I come out, so it's just wearing on me. But that's why I want to go ahead and set up drip irrigation so I won't have to worry about that part of it. And that brings me to what I won't do. I think I'm going out of order on these questions. But something that I won't do in my garden is I won't hand water everything. I will have drip irrigation, absolutely. And another question was, what won't I grow in my garden? And that's going to be volunteers. I won't allow them to grow. I was very intentional about not overplanting this year because I have both years, in 2020 and 2021, I overplanted for sure. So this year I was trying to be more intentional, but then these volunteers came up and I was like, it was hard to just kill a plant, but I allowed them to take over. Let me silence my alarm. Whoops, come on, dude. All right. Get a little bit. I'm just gonna get a little bit on everything because I'm planning not to have to do this by hand every single day anymore. Well, I probably will do these pots. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to incorporate as much as I can. Honestly, I'm tired of coming out here. It is hot. And my plants are suffering as a result of me not liking to come out here in this heat to water. Now I did deep water this bed yesterday, letting the hose sit in them. Let me get a little water. And these pots, although I think I'm gonna let that tomatillo go back here because it's not doing that well. And I do have 2 tomatillos in my front yard that are doing much better. So that reminds me that I left the hose running up there, so I'm gonna have to go in the middle of this and move that hose. I have those containers in the front set up. I'll maybe try to insert a picture of what I set up from my front yard vegetables. Right now I only have peppers growing up there, and peppers and tomatillos, and then flowers, of course. Oh, I removed this tomato. I tried to record that. I was doing it with the GoPro yesterday, but the GoPro is I hate that camera. It was one of my biggest regret so far as purchases, especially major purchases, because it ain't cheap. So I really regret purchasing the GoPro. I hope at some point I no longer regret it, but right now I just consider it a waste of money. But anyway, every time I try to film with that, I'm using this mount, this kind of hands-free mount, it overheats. I mean, yes, it's hot out here, but it overheats maybe last 5 to 10 minutes, and it overheats. It just automatically shuts off. But here's my iPhone is working all this time in the same conditions, and my iPhone will shut down if it overheats. So I don't know why that GoPro is so sensitive, but anyway, I digress. Long story short, I hate that camera. I'm gonna still try to use it since I have it and I've invested a lot into it, like accessories and stuff. I want it to work the way I I had hoped that it would when I got it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move this hose that's in the milling bed so that the water just won't be going in one spot. Although, of course, I can't reach up in that easily. Whew. Another thing about the iPhone, filming on the iPhone. Whoops. See, I don't like this hose. I hate when the hoses have this little metal thing instead of the lever, because it you have to manually do it. Anyway, I hate this. So when you're looking for a hose, avoid those if you don't like that kind of thing, which I don't. It's a pain. All right, I'm gonna move this one. Turn the water up a little higher because it's not going that much. So turn it a little higher. I'm gonna go back in to work a little bit. All right, I'm back again. First thing I do is make sure the hose isn't okay. Make sure the water is still cool, because the water heats up amazingly fast out here in triple digit temps inside the hose. So I'll come back and the water will be scalding hot. All right, so this is the random bed. Now I just have peppers in here since I took out that volunteer. And like I said, a number 2 on T-Nog's spring wrap-up tag. The volunteers, I had a volunteer tomato here. What I won't allow to grow in the future is volunteers. If I didn't plant it, I'm getting rid of it. Or at the very least, moving it. I'm not going to let it just sprout up and stay wherever it grows. I still need to do cleanup out here because it's so hot. I mean, of course I could have done it when it was cooler, but anyway, I haven't been motivated to come out here and clean this up like I should. The overgrowth on the lawn is just because every time I was getting it mowed every 2 weeks, and my lawn was getting jacked up. Let me turn in a minute so you can see how bad it looks. So yeah, that's the volunteer tomato that I took out yesterday, which I thought I was recording, but my GoPro is unreliable. Anyway, so my lawn has been messed up. So I've been deep watering my lawn at least once a week to try and hopefully sustain it over the next month of these temperatures. I didn't mention that when I was watering is the cucumber, which is getting bigger. It's kind of going out of the container, so I need to put a trellis in there or a cage. These are the tomatoes that, not tomatoes, these are the potatoes that I planted. They are coming up a little bit. They're quite a bit behind these other potatoes that I planted quite a bit sooner. Alright, so the flower bed, I'm just going to move the hose again. And, my sunflowers are looking kind of pathetic because this thing dries out too frequently. So that's another reason, I need, there's one over here all the way down is dead. So I'm going to have to clean this area up so far as these dead flowers. But yeah, some of them look okay. Like these. These look good. Alright, so I'm going to do the container area. Now the ground cherry down here at the end, and I actually got to taste some of those. They fell. I'm not sure if my dogs have been eating the other ones, but I got to taste 2 of them. Honestly, wasn't that impressed. My jelly bean cherry tomatoes that I grow are a lot sweeter. But it's cute that they fall down in a little husk. So here's a close-up of those. I hope it's focusing. But yeah, a lot of them to come. But I think my dogs have got some of those. It's okay for them to eat tomatoes, so I think it's okay for them to eat. It's probably okay for them to eat ground cherries, which are like a kind of tomato tomatillo family. Okay, and I put these posts here to make this come out. So I have these angled in there. I know I moved some of a lot of the pots that were under here. I moved them actually over by the pepper bed, which is where I normally have them. Since that volunteer watermelon died, which I haven't cleaned up those dead leaves, but they'll blow away on their own eventually, but I'll clean it up when it's cooler. I'm sweating right now and it's under 90 degrees, which is as cool as it gets now in the 80s. So I'm gonna take a break. I only stay out here for a few minutes at a time during this time of day, because it is just too hot. So it takes me all morning to water. Yeah, and this grass here, so over there is not doing as well, but this grass in this area is doing great because of the runoff from the container area, and also when I run the hose in that drain, it's been keeping this area moist. I do try to water this compost. I don't water those back composts as often, but I try to water this one to keep the worms and everything in here, although I'm sure this is only soil at this point. It's been so long since I've been able to add anything because it's so tall. I have decided I want to put a flower bed in the back along the fence in that spot just because it doesn't get a lot of sun back there, because that's the northwest corner. So that's the northwest side of this small part of my yard. Over there where the compost is probably would have been a good place to have something to get at least 5, maybe 6 hours of sunlight. But this area I think will get at least 3 or 4, so I could plant flowers here. Alright, so the strawberries are not doing well. They're getting burnt up, singed in the front, and I haven't been it's just hard to know how to water this because it's a self-watering container. Sometimes anyway, I'm just gonna have to test it more regularly because it's not really producing much. It has a lot of burnt leaves, a lot of dead parts. So yeah, I think that sucker, or what are those called? Runners. I think this runner is surviving because it's only getting morning sun and it's kind of protected after that. And of course, the areas in the back look better than the front, but some of that stuff back there is also dead, dried up and dead because of the watering. I'm sure the heat too, but the watering is factoring in. So here's my nursery area, and this stuff is just kind of stagnant. Actually, the ground cherry and this second one on the right, it doesn't look like it's gonna make it. I'm gonna test this to see if it's moist. All right, so I added soil and mulch for the grapevine, and hopefully that will help. I'm not sure if this is a disease or caused by the heat. Oh well, this got some bugs or something on it. I was looking on the back of the leaves, so I don't know if that's a bug thing or disease thing. All right, this bed with the marigolds, it's just not gonna make it. Well, it's barely hanging on. Strawberries were moist yesterday. I think they're probably fine. So those are strawberries I planted by seed. Here's a blueberry, a cucumber here in the front. My lemon tree back there is looking horrible, just burnt on the ends. So I was editing and realized I didn't find any video footage for this part of the tour or the watering. So I'm just gonna add it real quick. The pepper bed over here, which I still need to work on getting rid of. Volunteers. Those are still volunteers. I kept them because they have flowers, but they still have no fruit. So I'm getting rid of those. I got rid of most of the volunteers already. I have the mint still over there. This big beef tomato, which I'm gonna remove because it hasn't been productive and it's just not in a good condition. I added this tool here. It has some sun protection. Marigol's still up there, not doing excellent, but still alive. I don't really mess with those other tiers on that planter. I will in the fall. Basil has gone to seed. It's huge too, it's big. Still have the 2 tomatoes over there and some oregano. Oh, that's a watermelon plant. The oregano down there. I'm not sure where there's a plant. If it's the one that's in here. Wherever it's coming from, it's being removed. I don't like volunteers anymore. And then the cucumbers that I moved over here. I'm gonna add a better picture for the other side. The pepper bed. Since I don't have my mount on now. And that mount is at neck level, so it's not seeing what I'm seeing exactly. And I can't see the screen to see what's in there. Anyways, even though I have some of the T-Nog spring wrap-up questions answered, I have all of them answered in here actually. I'm gonna do a separate video that has everything together. I've already done it, so I'm just gonna have it separate. Or I may put it on the end of this, I'm not sure. But since this video is already very long, I'll probably just make it a separate video. So anyway, thanks y'all for watching.